Welcome to the NASM CPT podcast. This is the Facebook Live edition. So thank you so much for joining us. And I also want to say a grand thank you to a guest that we have on today. His name is Britt Knighton. And did I say is that your last name? Is that how you pronounce it?
Yeah.
Perfect.
Knighton.
Knighton.
It's very English. Of course.
Wild English, Britt and Knighton. So I love it. Dude, it's good to have you on. We'll talk about what we're going to talk about in just a moment, but I do want to say that we've had the opportunity to hang out before, and I think it was initially at NASM's Optima conference, and we were going to have this big shindig. We're going to have the big party, and you were looking forward to it because you were going to crush people in a dance competition, and I thought, that's not true. That's not true.
It's pretty accurate. I mean, mopping the floor with, AKA, I mean, it's not stomp the yard, but it's pretty dang close. And so if you could think about like a super English-ish white guy doing better than you might think he would on the dance floor, that's probably, you could expect that from me. But yeah.
You did mop the floor. It was awesome. And then we watched that down with a night of karaoke, which you also crushed. So thank you so much for being on the show, dude. This is going to be a lot of fun. Do this. Give us a little introduction of who you are and who you work for, and then we'll dig into really what this is about. Is people having this transition into the idea of online training since the COVID-19 pandemic has really struck our society, and it's hindered everybody from being able to work except for those who have transitioned online. So tell us a little bit about who you are, who you work for, and then we'll get into the online training and what you guys have done.
Sure. So like we said, my name is Britt. It's like Brittany without the knee. And I work for Camp Gladiator. So I've been in the marketing world, graduated from Baylor University, had an excellent experience there, started a marketing firm with some friends, and grew that up for about a decade. And in 2016, some friends of friends of friends ended up saying, hey, this Camp Gladiator thing is starting to really grow. You should check them out. They're looking for somebody to do marketing for them. So at that point, it was kind of that knee of the curve growth for CG. And I'll go into their story in a little bit. But I jumped down to Austin, Texas, and moved my family there and became the VP of marketing there. Since then, we've grown that team a lot. We have a director that runs the day-to-day, and I kind of transitioned over to business development, which is all of our strategic partnerships, philanthropics, a lot of our corporate wellness, and then, of course, working with people like NASM and the accreditations and the national quality control that we have for a lot of our trainers. So it's been really cool. I love my role. I get to tell the CG story a lot, and I get to connect with great people that like to impact lives. So it's pretty cool that way. But yeah, if you don't know what CG is, Camp Gladiator, well, Rick, it's fun. Have you heard the whole CG story, kind of how it started? I'll give you the elevator version real fast. So remember the show American Gladiators from the 90s? Like with like Laser and Blazer and
Nitro
Nitro. Yeah.
Yes, of course.
Ice. Yeah, right. So they were that was just the coolest show with the Eliminator and then the gun that shoots tennis balls, right? So they tried to do a reboot on NBC in 2008. So Hulk Hogan, you remember? And Layla Ali were like the hosts, and they were going to do this big old thing. So kind of the height of reality TV, like really just taking off competition shows. So our friend, Allie Davidson, is getting married on a Saturday. And that morning, she's like, hey, you want to do something crazy? Let's cry out for American Gladiators. So they go to Gold's Gym, and the line's like way out the door, and they know they have to get back to the church at some point in that afternoon. They're like, oh, no, we're never going to be able to get in. So she has this brilliant idea of putting on her veil and her garter with like shorts and a T-shirt. And she's like, I'm getting married today. Will you guys let me cut? And everybody's like, go for it. So she runs in front of the line. Of course, producers go bananas, and she tries out for the show, and she makes it on the show. Little do they know that Allie was a 5-sport superstar athlete, played basketball at Ole Miss, SEC freshman newcomer of the year, like all this stuff, just stud, right? And she wins the whole thing. So with her, 15 minutes or 15 seconds of fame, however you want to slice it, she starts CG because she missed being on a team, and she didn't want to just kind of plug in earphones and just do the elliptical or anything anymore for fitness. And she just missed the camaraderie and the culture and the community. And I think that's why group fitness is really blown up in a lot of places when it's done well. So that started in 2008, and it's kind of just taken off since then. And one trainer became two, between three, between 5, 10. And we found this business model that is, instead of having employees, we have these business partners, and we share in the profit and loss together. Kind of like Keller Williams Real Estate, very similar to their business model, or maybe a Chick-fil-A owner operator. If they had a baby, it'd be kind of like CG. So yeah, so it's been really fun, and it's since I've been there, it's been this kind of crazy growth. But today we have around 100,000 campers and a little over 1,000 trainers nationwide, and yeah, it's been a wild ride, especially the last 3 weeks too. So yeah.
Well, that's crazy. And I will say this for some other people who may not know who Camp Gladiator is. I found myself in that same position. And a few years ago, I guess, I don't know, a few years ago, last year, I went to was invited to speak at a Camp Gladiator summit. And I thought, I'll take it. I like speaking, and I've met these guys. I like these guys. Let me go speak there. But I thought it'd be like a cute little, summit, and let me just show up, and I'll help out how I can. And I get there, and there had to have been 1,100 personal trainers there. And it wasn't like an Optima conference or an IDEA or something like that. They were all people who work for Camp Gladiator.
Yeah.
There were that many trainers that were a part of it, and it absolutely blew my mind. So big shout out, because I was like, for the fact that I'd never heard of this company, and I showed up and it was there, and it's probably just because it wasn't in the market that I'm in. So I'm in New York City, and you guys, as far as I know, aren't there yet, but I know that you guys are sharpening your claws and ready to dig in somewhere somehow. But you did open in Atlanta recently, and that was a big deal for me because I used to live in Atlanta right before I moved to New York. And you were talking about Piedmont Park and the space and how you're going to use it. And you guys have a unique model. And since the COVID has happened, you've been able to shift this model a little bit so that business could still happen. So kind of tell us about this model and the outdoor training that tends to happen with Camp Gladiator, and then walk us through the transition that has been made over the last couple of weeks.
Yeah, so instead of brick and mortar gyms or in a strip center or something like that, we wanted to use community relationships not only to fill these camps, but also we kind of have a built-in cheering section. Whenever we partner with an ISD and we go to an elementary school, then we make sure and engage those teachers and the people that live around those areas. Or if we work with Parks and Rec departments and we have a park workout, it not only is great advertising, we have a little billboard every Saturday morning, but it's also utilizing something that is normally really well placed, strategically placed, and also easy for everybody to get to. So it keeps rent low, so we can pass that on to customers, and we can pay our trainers as much as possible. And it's a cool business model.
Like that.
And you got to find weather is always a thing, but we arm wrestle weather all the time. We got to find ways around that. So that's kind of been how it started back in 2008, all the way up until February, March. When the COVID stuff happened, back up to November of this last year, we were doing our strategic priorities and looking and brainstorming what we're going to do. And we thought about offering a virtual workout option through our app. And it ended up getting tossed and saying, oh, I don't think we're there yet. Let's push this to 2021 or something like that. So we had done a little bit of the due diligence, but never really got into it big. When this whole thing happened, we realized if people can't go anywhere and we're not allowed to have parks or things like that open, we're going to have to find another way to do this. So we kind of dusted off those ideas, got a relationship going with Zoom, integrated it with a tech team and our marketing and our ops team. And everybody just kind of said, we got one thing to do. Let's buckle down. And in about 3 weeks, we flipped all 1,000 trainers to train them, get them ready, and start leading virtual workouts. And the key thing is, doing workouts online has been around. I mean, even 2 months ago, you could have gone online and find a lot of free workouts on YouTube and stuff like that. But pre-recorded, I knew was always going to be there and it doesn't have the same motivation. And so we thought, how can we keep the same culture feel of CG with the accountability and then the ability to see them on their screen in your garage or in your room in your house and say, ooh, hey guys, correct form. Let's do progressions and regressions. Let's make sure we're doing success options for injury prevention and things like that for people that are working with injuries. And it's been really cool just because the same feel and community hopefully can be established, even though it's only through a screen. So it's been nuts, but it's been fun.
Awesome. You've mentioned a couple of things, 2 words that are very, very important for any business. You've mentioned culture and you've mentioned community. So can you run down that a little bit with us? Like how has CG been able to develop this community, and what is the culture that's developed that draws that community together?
Yeah, I think all we did was change the vehicle. We didn't change anything about the culture or community. We just needed to find a way for people to stay engaged. I think people come for the fitness at first. I mean, they've heard of somebody told them about CG and it was a cool thing, and they hit a goal or they were training for a race and they got it. They're, a new PR for them or something. But people end up sticking for the community. They have a relationship with a trainer, number one, which I think NASM really gets. So you don't have to explain it to you. I mean, I'm preaching to the choir there. But what ended up being a byproduct is the commonality of the accountability and the encouragement that you get. I mean, I think as adults, of course, we can connect on social media and we can do these different things, but actually being connected with people other than who you work with is usually really only reserved for happy hours and church and, maybe seeing some fellow parents or something like that. If
you said those back to back, happy hour and church, that was interesting.
2 really important things, but I mean, where do adults go to make friends and be with other people? And often we found that the byproduct of camp was a kick butt workout and an awesome relationship with a trainer who believes in you and your goals. But then the guy and gal next to you are the people you see Monday, Wednesday, Friday. I mean, I see people at camp more than I see almost any of my best friends that even live in the city with us. And so it's become this cool culture. Also, CG's we're not yelling at you. It's not boot camp like drill instructor in your face kind of thing. It's more always positive. It's fun. Allie Davidson, our CEO, calls it recess for adults, which I love. So yeah, that's kind of been finding a way to keep that same secret sauce that has made us successful in the past and just finding a way to do it virtually so we can all stay safe.
How have the trainers been able to make that transition? Are they enjoying it? I mean, otherwise they'd not probably be doing anything. So I'm sure they're enjoying something. But what's that transition been like? What's the feedback that you've gotten?
If you want to be in a crisis, you want to be with entrepreneurial, go get it. Trainers are a pretty good breed of people to do this thing with. If you're going to link arms and take on any challenge, because I think a lot of trainers just have it in their DNA to go, all right, guys, here we go. We can do this thing because they themselves were trained or were encouraged and they found that value of what they do. So I think that's in their bones already. Right. But, there's some people that are better at technology than others. And so that's been always fun. I got some of my trainers that it's like teaching Mima to do Skype. It's like Mima this, and they're like, "What is it?" And you can see their faces only, and then the audio doesn't work. It's just. But I think there's a community of sharing great ideas. I mean, a lot of people had clean out their garage on their to-do list for about a year, and this had to kick some butts for them to clean out that garage and make the studio. And people have gotten really creative on creating an environment so you can see ways to make sure and train really effectively, and be able to model it themselves and have people or husband and wife, they can model all the great form and they can point it out and then they can look at it. It's been fun. It's been really fun to see the ingenuity.
Yeah. Have you seen any particular challenges leading up to this? That I know it was something that you played around with and then you shelved and then you were thrown into it. So what are the challenges, not just for you guys, but some of the challenges that, some of these NASM trainers who are out there listening to this that are trying to do it themselves? What are some of the things that are there, and are there any easy fixes? Is it, just Zoom and just do it? Like, what's some feedback there?
Yeah, I think you need to go to as many other workouts as possible. I mean, the best advice I've given to my team was go to each other's workouts and be the guy doing form for them, and then vice versa, and swap, and make sure that you're seeing, just like attending anybody's class or anybody's style. It might not be your personality, but you pick up those 1s or 2s or 3s little tricks and tips that you just say, man, this is going to make me from good to great. And it's amping that up just a hair.
I'm going to take that joke.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I think it's cool too, because so many people, CG's, I mean, we're not big, but we're not little. We're kind of this medium right now. But to a trainer and a camper, CG's pretty small. If you were going to this one park and you live in DeSoto, Texas, outside of Dallas, I mean, it's a small town feel for you, and CG might only be about 30 to 40 people for you. And so it feels colloquial, feels like it has its own fingerprint, but you're part of this bigger group that we can share information, share great ideas. One thing I'm really proud of is our product team. Allie, our CEO, and her husband, Jeff, they're co-CEOs together. So Allie really runs our product team, and it's our fitness philosophies. It's a lot of our training philosophy and our ideas behind what we do and for programming. And I think they've been able to try to say it has to feel like the CG workout, but understand we're not going to go take a lap around the parking lot. Or, I mean, maybe you can, but you'd have to leave your house, right? So what can we do to do an endurance workout at the mat or at home to make sure people are staying safe? And so, yeah, it's the coolest ideas come from kind of anywhere. And I think you got to expose yourself to it. Plus, you're going to do workout too. So it's always good for you.
Yeah, that's true. Have you jumped in any of the classes yourself?
Yeah. So we have a check-in challenge that we're doing right now. And my goal is 3 a week. My wife kicked my butt last week. She did 4. So I gotta catch up this week. So my goal is to get 18 check-ins during the 6-week challenge. So 3 a week, 18 check-ins. And, but also I have this cool opportunity to go and see my friend Patrick, who's a trainer in Colorado, and Brandy Rayfield, who is in Tampa, and, some of my guys who just moved to Atlanta, and I can go see their workouts. So it kind of is opening up the opportunity for me to get their style, and, haven't been working out with them forever until Summit or something like that, once or twice a year. So it's kind of afforded new opportunities too.
That's great, man. I love that. I've been taking a few classes. I've been putting out some of my old stuff so that people can do some classes. I'm not teaching them online, but I've got these pre-recorded things that I think work well for certain people that I've put out there, and it's been beneficial. NASM has been working a lot over the past, just a little over a month now, I guess, with online training. And I will say this is a shout out to a friend of ours, Carradine McMahon, whom you've met at Optima. And what she did and how it started, she just said, hey, trainers are in trouble. They're losing their business, and I want to help. And she said, I know a lot of people don't know how to do online training. So she just put out a post and said, if you don't know how to do online training, I want you to reach out to me for free, and I will help you. I will put, 10 minutes, 15 minutes of my life out there and just start to talk you through some of the things to make a transition. And it caught the eye of people like our producer, Greg, who's on the line with us right now, and reached out to her, and she was on the show with me. And so we're trying to find people, and it all happened because she was doing something that she wanted to help with. And you mentioned within the product team, there's this philosophy, right? And I recently did a podcast on values and how our values drive our direction. And, everybody wants to make money. That's not really a value. That is an outcome that's necessitated for everybody in order to make a living. How to make that living can be guided and should be guided by values. So we are creating value. And one of the first things you said when you got on the show is, we're happy to help people, that people are still being helped. Now, what does that mean? you? Well, fortunately, it means you're still making money, right? Like as a company, you're still making money, just like trainers, still making money. Some people are doing things for free. They're offering free things for people. And I think that you have to do that, especially at some point along the way, in order to let people know you're present. So I want to ask you, in addition to kind of paid service and content, I know NASM has been able to help out a lot with complimentary things just to help people. What are some of the things that Camp Gladiator has offered and just said, hey, this right now is just what we're giving you. I want to help you and help you without you having to give anything back to us. Is there anything that you guys have pushed and developed over this time?
Yeah, it's been cool. I think you're right. Making money is probably not a value, but stewardship is. And I think being a good steward of not just finances, but your time and your energy, I think is a big thing that aligns with our mission, vision, values. CG's mission is to positively impact the physical fitness, but ultimately the lives of as many people as possible. So when we think about that, it's actually behooves CG. If we were trying to be selfish about it, it still behooves CG for the fitness industry to be healthy in general. We don't want to be the top of the mountain, the only one who kind of made it and has this great retention because we can be open. Instead, it's actually great for the fitness industry in general when we can band together and start talking to people and say, hey, I know we kind of see each other as competition, but it's really good in North Austin. It's really good in Raleigh, North Carolina, when fitness professionals understand and can help each other. A great example of that is the guys out at Spartan, the Spartan race. Obviously, they had to cancel so many of their races, and they had to furlough some employees and all this stuff. They've been putting out great content, and we've kind of connected over the years, but they have just been awesome when it comes to working with us. They promoted our 6-week challenge, and then we've done an opportunity to do their gym assistance program and helping out when they're helping fitness professionals who have lost income. It's been really cool to watch people that normally would kind of keep each other at arm's distance, but say, hey, right now we all got to come together and help. And it's been really encouraging to see that, because all that other stuff kind of flies out the window when you can start helping people. So CG in general, for the first 3 weeks of the COVID stuff, we just did free online classes 3 times a day, just for anybody, just to make sure. And then once we started the challenge, it went behind the paywall, but we're still doing on Facebook Live free workouts twice a week with Allie, our CEO. So, I mean, she loves it because she gets to scratch the itch and be fun and silly and all that fun stuff too. So, but yeah, we have these bold members. Bold members are people that have committed to the membership with CG. So we want to offer something that they are paying for and they get the value out of it. But at the same time, we're not closing it off. We're going to say, what can we do to help? How can we help serve? Stuff like that.
Love that. And there's something about competition where, the phrase, the rising tide raises all ships. So, sure. Everybody gets lifted up by the same thing that comes through. We see that in competition, and we know that it is good, and it is present, and that people are supportive of it. You don't sit around and just go mine, right? You don't gobble them up, right? This is my precious, because there's so many people that need fitness, and there are so many outlets right now to receive it. And I fully believe that once more outlets are created, it will catch the attention that would not have otherwise been caught by somebody who needs it. So the more we can bring things in and develop fitness for all, and there's never going to be one service and one company that provides that. There has to be more, and knowing that that's present, knowing that you guys see it, and that people recognize it, then it is going to allow us to hold hands during this moment and pull through it together. So let me just do this real quick. I know that Greg has Greg, who's our producer. He's on the computer and receiving questions. So I just want to go to the questions, see if there are any specific questions that are asked that we can take care of right now.
Yeah, Ash in the chat is wondering, what is a good method for getting more clients online?
I think, Rick, or do you want me? What do you think?
Go for it.
Okay, cool. I would say try to do some lead gen for the influencers or decision makers of whoever you're talking to. So if somebody knows somebody, or as a pastor, or as a teacher and has, or a principal, or has a lot of people kind of on their list, find those influencers and say, hey, can I do a free workout for your folks next week at noon? That way they can just kind of get a taste of what we're doing and what online work and virtual workouts look like, and kind of taking away some of the mystery of it. Because if you've never done it before, some people are just resistant to change. And I think there's a lot of change going on right now. So they're kind of at their limit already of, I don't want anything else. I'm just going to go back to my routine. Unfortunately, routine is out the window now too when it comes to fitness. So we got to encourage them to try something new, do a lead gen free workout. And then from that, you get the time and also platform to say, I'd love the opportunity to train you guys 3 days a week. Here's my way to do this. And this is what we want to promote. And people can kind of start seeing a little bit further down the road, because right now I think we're kind of only looking at the day that we're in, because so much is changing right now. So I think that would be a really great way to do it. And finding those influencer people. Influencer is kind of a buzzword right now, but more just anybody who has influence over a group of people more than 2 or 3. And I think that could go well.
Yeah, that's a great thing. And one of the benefits of working with people and social media is that it kind of removed many of the gatekeepers, but in some ways what it did is just created a whole lot more gatekeepers. And those gatekeepers are really for just many other smaller communities of people. And then there are some people that just have these really, really quite large communities and connecting with people. And I think ultimately what you're trying to do is connect with people. You are trying to reach out to people, and that can be done through multiple ways. Yes, you can reach out to people who have a broader scope, or you can just reach out to family and friends and ask for those promotions. Because right now we're really only seeing our ability to reach people online.
Right.
So you do have to reach out to those people, and I never underestimate the benefit that can come from asking family and friends. Hey, there's a little family member in your background opening the door. He closed it.
Totally normal.
So,
it's all good. This is my world now.
I know. So I think that's a big part of it. And the other thing too is reach out to people that have trained with you and just aren't currently training. Reach out to people that never converted to training that you've had conversations with. And
all that are the busted list.
The busted list, indeed.
Yeah. You got to grab them.
But here's the thing that people ask, right? Like, well, I don't want to do that. I don't want to bother them. I don't want to. Well, then you're not going to sell them. And what you're doing is probably looking at it like, I'm asking them for money, and I wouldn't want people to ask me for money. What we have to do is look at it like we're offering something that is of value. And when you find that your services are of value, stop thinking about it as a financial exchange and start thinking about it as your contribution right now. And it takes that pill, and it's still a pill, but it's just not quite as jagged to swallow at this moment.
Right. Great Alanis Morissette reference, by the way.
That's right.
All day. The money thing is hard. You're right, especially right now. And people can be sensitive. People are sensitive to money stuff anyway. I mean, it's kind of like that faux pas, don't talk about it at the dinner table kind of thing. But I think there's also the value proposition rebuttal, which we teach this in our sales workshops for our trainers, of talking about how do you talk about fitness in a way to where you're like, oh, well, yeah, that's actually really inexpensive. CG is expensive if you don't go. It's really inexpensive if you go. If you're going 3 times a week and you realize, man, I get a NASM certified professional, nationally accredited trainer to help me reach my goals with my friends. Heck,
yes,
I would pay you more just to make sure I could do that. And it's unlimited for us. I mean, you can go to as many as you want to. So there's this place where the value really is what you see. And you got to make sure and explain it, but you also have to have a platform to do so. So I think there's a place too where Jordan Jones, who's a trainer in Austin, who's just the coolest dude in the world too. But he will finish his workout like 7 minutes early, and he'll do some cool down. But really, everybody just kind of hangs out on Zoom and just talks and goofs and talks to people, and he calls people out. And you just get that little bitty kind of water cooler talk. that you didn't think you were going to get. And, if you're stuck home with kids and you got craziness and all this stuff right now, having an adult conversation is kind of what you need. It's good medicine right now. And so it was really cool to see that. And he fostered that community, and it happened naturally. And I think that's another thing you can do when you just go, man, my tank's on full. I didn't realize how much I needed that. And I think it's really good.
That's amazing. Greg has another question. So let's go back to Greg. Greg, what do you got?
Yeah, Chris in the chat, and it kind of ties into what you guys were talking about, is wondering, how do you show value of the online training at the same price as in-person training, and how do you prove that it's kind of worth the same?
I think that's a valuable question to ask, and I will say this: I'm not entirely sure that it should be the same. The environment. I agree. You're not in a gym. You don't have the equipment. You're not there face to face in actuality to be able to provide all the cueing that you may normally do. And you're not there to see everything that you may normally be able to see. You're not there present where you can show the way that you might normally show. Should it be of value? Absolutely. Should it still cost money? I think, yes, it should. You should sell it. But one of the things that I talked about with Kieran, and I thought it was really valuable, she said that that when she trains online, and she's been doing this for about 10 years, she said that it's about 20 to 25% less than a cost of a normal one-on-one session. You don't have to leave your home. You don't have to go anywhere. It's easier on you. Your overhead is, I don't know, depends on how much you may have to pay for a platform that you're utilizing, but it's really nothing. So I don't think it should be exactly the same, but it should also show that, it is of value to train with you still, because you are just as educated, and probably at this point a lot more educated, as we're all stuck inside and working on what I hope to be professional and personal development. Right. Continuing to provide the feedback and the value that's there. So I'll throw this over to you, Britt, and let you take it. But I think that there's value there, but the price probably should drop a little bit for one-on-one virtual training.
And we did that same thing. It's a 6-week challenge for less, and it's a promotional opportunity. But what made me realize that it's still valuable to our campers is that we're still keeping 95 to 98% of retention of people that are paying with us. And so there's some people that have really gone into some tough times when it comes to finances, and we want to help those people. We have a freeze option for those people as well, so they don't have to lose everything they've kind of worked for, because we have, keeping track of check-ins and all those things. But the attitude and the feel is the same. And I was surprised by how much it felt like CG, even though I was in my own garage, And so it's the attitude, it's the culture that you built. If you're a trainer and you had an awesome culture out of camp, it was not hard to feel that same way. Now, if you're a brand new trainer and it's brand new people, then you got to really rely on, make sure you do the basics really, really well. Because if it's a bad workout, or if you didn't really prepare for it, or if what's really dorky on virtual workouts is silence and just like, like the breathing, because you can't hear the music the same, nor is it legal because you're trying to, all that stuff. So, you got to make sure that you're filling the time with encouragement and call outs. If it's one-on-one, of course, it's a little different than a group, but man, culture can go over the phone or over the camera. That I believe can translate. And just like you said, the expertise on physical fitness and injury prevention, things like that, of course, can be done. Yeah. I think there's a value there.
Yeah, and I like that. I think one of the things that also was important is that we should be figuring out how to create more value, not necessarily how to make ourselves cheaper and cheaper in order to battle against other people's price drops. We do need to probably lower our price, virtual training versus one-on-one, but if you keep doing that and you're trying to keep up with people who are less than less financially, buying a session with that person, or at this point going to YouTube and just watching somebody else work out, or some of the free IGTV things that are out there,
Right.
Where are you now creating value? And that's where we fall short a lot of times, because as personal trainers, many times we will, in a one-on-one situation, we're going to train somebody, give them a little high five and say, I'll see you next week. And we don't give them anything. So how are you providing value? Are you using, so for instance, I use the NASM Edge app, but that's just me. Some people are using Google Docs, and some people are using other platforms that are out there that are apps that they can provide communication. They can provide workouts. They can say, this is your Monday, Wednesday, Friday workout. This is your movement prep. These are your corrective strategies. This is what this is, and deliver that to people. That's creating an ongoing value that really doesn't cost much for us as the trainer. And it's stuff that we're doing anyway, which is writing their programs down. Right. So if we're putting those programs together, then delivering those programs and continue to provide support. So again, going to the concept of not figuring out how cheap I can get and still, make a living, whatever that means right now for us during COVID. But how can I continually provide value for people? And that has to be a major consideration.
Yeah, I think Simon Sinek has that book, Start With Why, and he talks about price manipulation in it. And it's a slippery slope. It's kind of, it's akin to, if you get someone who's a very strict disciplinarian, at first you're going to get a lot of big results, but it doesn't last, because normally the super strict disciplinarian doesn't also combine relationship with it. So in that same way, price manipulation can really help you for a quick thing that you need to do, but the long-term effect, both positive and negative, are going to come out in the wash. And so I would say for anybody out there, whether they're just trying out to do virtual, or if they're doing one-on-one or group or whatever, stick to what you're really great at and tell them why you're great at it. If you are awesome with culture and fun and funny, and like, hey guys, this is a break in your day. Today, get a little smile, get a little laugh, and get your sweat on, because this is going to be a fun thing. This is my forte. I'm really good at this. Or I have trainers that have partnered with Arasi to do an online portion where they just kind of pin their little video, and they do a foam rolling 10-minute session at the end. There's a little bit of value there. It gives them a little bit of really cool promotion right now, but also it helps our campers. And they're like, hey, grab a tennis ball, grab a lacrosse ball, grab a foam roll, whatever you got. And then they're helping with not only intervention, but soreness and what's sore versus injured. I mean, all those little things you can do. And if you're not an expert, find someone who is, invite them on, makes them feel like $1 million, and then you guys look like the stud who's like the guy who hooks it up. So there's a lot of wins there, I think, that are important.
I agree. I think there could be some value. Think about this. In the past, in previous podcasts, I've done something called a pod swap. And that's where we would be on somebody else's podcast, and then they would be on our podcast. So sure. We do a pod swap. That there are partnerships where you bring people on and you share. So think about that with your online one-on-one, or probably more your group. We also see this in places like, I know that I follow several people on social media that are a SoulCycle here in New York City. And they'll post something like, hey, I'm going to be a guest SoulCycle instructor in Los Angeles for the next week. These are my classes, right? So they're showing up somewhere else and being present. And that actually increases their followership on social media. And sure. I think there's some value there where you partner with somebody like, hey, why don't we do a co-branded workout together? I'll do this section, you do that section. And I don't know, I'm just brainstorming here, but it's kind of coming to life right now as we think about it and apply it to what did it look like for some really great brands prior to this. There's always benefit in joining forces with people that are a force. And you'll find people that you connect with, that are your friends. And because you share similar values and experiences and probably training styles, then it's easier to partner with those people and reach each other's community. Mm-hmm. And everybody gets to see it. Now your reach is a little bit longer. And if you do that over and over through time, then you slowly build your community. And I think one of the biggest problems that people have is nobody wants to slowly build a community. They want to I dream a genie, bleep, and then there it is. It's present, and now I'm really big on IG. I think that there's a development where people just want to show up in a destination, and they don't want to enjoy that journey and seek that out.
Well, I completely agree with you. I am very weary of anything that can be built that quickly. Not that I'm a curmudgeon. Great word. Sorry. I love it. But I think there's, you're usually built on a pretty shaky foundation if it happened that fast. Now, sometimes just stuff blows up and you go viral or whatever. That's awesome. But again, back to the very beginning, how you steward that, I think, is actually the foundation that you were already built on. And so the hard work into building that audience, and we all know it's awesome to get a couple great clients or something like that, but the ones that you really love and you value most are the ones that have been with you for years and years, because you don't have to resell them. And it's also not a pain in the butt to train those people because you love hanging out with them, because you actually have a relationship with these people. And so that's why we have forever, and we're still doing this now. We have a spouse discount that is, depending on which package you get with us for a membership, it's over 50% off, because we want families to work out together. And if we have a healthy family and they look back and they're like, you know what, this has been great for our marriage, we're working out together, we're doing this, it has been valuable for us to see that. And their retention goes through the roof. Granted, that's a great thing for us and our bottom line. But at the same time, if you know that you're helping out a family be healthier, or a marriage get a little bit of extra time together and hanging out, I mean, we all got to fight for that stuff. And if your trainer is one of the ones fighting for you, that's a pretty good reputation to have. You know what I mean?
That's awesome, man. Thank you for sharing that. And that means a lot. And again, speaks to the values of what Camp Gladiator is holding to. Just real quick, and this is a relatively selfish question. How has NASM supported Camp Gladiator throughout this process of being in existence? Like, what has NASM meant to you guys?
Well, I'll go further back, and then I'll tell you just recently. But further back, it's been, we accept a bunch of different groups of certifications. But I will say the best relationship we have is with NASM, but also one of the most well-respected when it comes to certifications. We've had a great partnership with the Cooper Clinic in Dallas. We've had awesome people. And a lot of these guys in Dallas come with a kinesthesiology degree or an exercise physiology degree. I mean, they know their stuff. But if you are looking at our regional presidents, who are over all 1,000 trainers, there's 4 of them. We have a girl who did digital marketing, a retired guy from the Army. We have a civil engineer, and we have a stay-at-home mom. And those are the 4 people that are now in charge of all of fitness for our company. And then Allie, who is just awesome, but she's on her own. She's kind of over here. But out of those 4, they weren't fitness professionals, but they loved fitness. They loved people. And they had this business acumen and this drive to kind of push them over the edge. So when they went and got their certification, it gave method to the madness, I think. And I think that's the biggest thing, where Jill and Chris and you guys, I mean, talk about swap. I come to y'all's conference, y'all's come to our conference, you help teach, and I've done stuff with Jill, and now I'm on the podcast. I mean, it's fun to do that. So that's the partnership portion. But you guys have given great discounts for our things. The CEUs have been excellent of what you guys help us understand what is valuable. And then also bringing in these really cool people, and y'all are so open to discuss that, again, just based off a relationship, that we've been able to see the value. And a lot of people will get certified with NASM after they come into CG and they need to re-up. They're not going to re-up the same thing. They want to do it with NASM because it's just in front of them. It's top of mind nowadays. So that's how y'all have been awesome partners in the last 3 weeks, though. But man, you guys have been great. I do believe we're one of the only companies in fitness right now that are hiring. And so we've had 400 applicants in just the last week and a half. So many people either out of work, but also I think they realized that we were able to pivot, and it's been pretty cool. So you guys have always been great for helping us vet, secure who has a certification, all those things that are just sometimes takes a long time, and you guys are quick to help us move forward quickly, because right now those days add up, and those are pretty valuable days right now for us all. So especially these small business owners. So yeah, man, y'all have been great.
Awesome, man. Well, congratulations on everything that you guys have been able to make happen. The fact that you can grow right now during this time speaks a lot to what you've created as a company and what you've been there to support. So shout out to you and everything that you're doing. And I hope that, we can continue to help get some quality trainers into your family. And love to keep supporting what you guys do. I know that my wife and I had a friend that's from Texas that moved here. And when she moved back, she goes, "You won't believe it. Every single window that we see has a Camp Gladiator sign in the back of the window." She goes, "They're everywhere here. They're everywhere." And my friend Andy Hanley, who was on the show recently, teacher for NASM, and we were at the Camp Gladiator summit together where we spoke. And we have these amazing backpacks. We love them so much. They are our backpacks now. And we were recently in Korea probably 6 months ago. And we were wearing our backpacks, and hopefully this is writing on the wall for you. We got photos of us over our shoulders taking pictures with the backpack in Seoul. So I do hope that your expansion goes so well that was just writing on the wall and a sign.
Thanks, man.
So all the best to you. Before we wrap up, let me just go to Greg real quick. Greg, do we have any more questions? And if not, do you have any housekeeping things for us?
No additional questions. Britt, thank you for being on the show. Join us again tomorrow, I believe at noon Pacific, 3 p.m. Eastern, for another Master Trainer Roundtable where the group is going to be discussing, I believe, CES tomorrow, corrective exercise, the first in their in-depth series on that. So join us there, and then Rick will be back on Friday at 9 a.m. Pacific, noon Eastern, with another episode of the show here. So thank you, everybody, for your time. And also check out in the description of the post today, we have a link to our free online mini course about how to pivot your business to online. You mentioned Kieran, Rick. It includes her video series and a couple of written PDFs as well. So check that out.
That's cool.
Hey,
buddy.
I'm sorry. Go ahead. I was going to thank you, but I'll do that more after you speak. So go.
No, I was just going to say, I'd be happy to provide a link and a code that we can get out to anybody later, just to make sure if they wanted to jump on our 6 week. It started last week, so we have 5 weeks left now. But if anybody want to try it out, I want to make sure that there's a big time price break, and this will go to helping trainers. But also, I'd like to give back to whatever fund is going on to make sure these gyms and these people that are losing income or have lost income, we want to be able to support. And so it is our goal and mission, vision, values to help support that. So I'll make sure and communicate that to you, Greg, and make sure they can get hooked up if they want to. So, but I really appreciate you guys having me on and hanging out. It's always fun.
Oh man, well it is good to see you. I look forward to our next time face to face together. I look forward to face time with basically anybody at this point. But it'll be good to see you again, and I'm sure that'll be at a conference of some sort. And I look forward to the fun and shenanigans that goes along with that. Thank you for the value that you've provided and for offering something to those that are listening to this. And I hope we get quite a few people that take you up on it. So. Thank you for everything. You've been a great guest, and I want to say thank you for being here on this NASM podcast. And I also want to say that this is a Facebook Live podcast, so we continue to do these a couple times a week. Keep tuning in, and hopefully we'll see you soon. Thanks.
All right. Thanks, guys. See ya.